Okay, welcome back. And today we're going to talk about cars. So in 8.6, we're going to talk about financing cars and what goes into their different parts of financing a car so you understand when you go to buy a car, the different aspects of a car loan. And so car loans are not, they're a different type of loan. And so we're going to talk about that in detail. Okay. So we're going to learn how to compute the monthly payment and interest costs for a car loan. We're going to learn how to understand the types of leasing contracts. And I'm going to tell you how I feel about leasing contracts as well. 3, understand the pros and cons of leasing versus buying a car. And I'm going to tell you my opinion as far as that goes as well. 4, understand the different kinds of car insurance. 5, we're going to how to compare monthly payments on new and used cars. And 6, solve problems related to owning and operating a car. Okay, so now the mathematics of financing a car and the loan that we take out for a car is called an installment loan. An installment loan can cover a lot of different types of loans, but car loans is an example of it, of an installment loan. Okay, so a loan that you pay off with weekly or monthly payments or regular payments in other time periods. So regular payments over a fixed period of time is called an installment loan. The advantage of an installment loan is that the consumer gets to use a product immediately, right? So you buy something, you finance something, you get to use it immediately. The disadvantage is that the interest can add to a substantial amount um, and can add to the cost of a purchase. So, for example, if you buy a car and you finance it for $30,000, you may end up paying a lot more than $30,000. Okay, um, so let's begin with car loans in which you make regular monthly payments called a fixed installment loan. So fixed installment loans is what we're going to start with, which are the most common type when it comes to car loans. So here is the formula. Look that it looks very similar to the payment formula for annuities. Okay, but you got to be careful because it is slightly different. Okay, so notice that this is negative up here. And notice that instead of having 1 minus, the minus 1 was over here, now it's 1 minus. So again, this is a very different formula, and this is for installment loans, where PMT is the payment amount, because this is a loan. Okay, so the regular payment amount, PMT, required to repay a loan of P dollars, that's your principal, paid n times per year. So n now here's the thing, n represents the number of payments per year over t years, and with an annual interest rate of r. Okay, so those are what it means. Okay, now suppose that you decide to borrow $20,000 for a new car. You can select one of the following loans, each requiring regular monthly payments. So you can do loan A, which is a 3-year loan at 7%, or you could do a 5-year loan at 9%. So we're going to find the monthly payments and the total interest for loan A. Then we're going to find the monthly payments and the total interest for loan B. And then we're going to compare the two. Okay, so we're going to use the formula to find the payments. So for loan A, again, we just plug in the values. Okay, so you got to make sure you understand what these symbols mean, what these letters mean in the formula. Okay, so P is the principal, right? That's your loan amount. R is the annual rate. N is the number of payments that you're making per year. Okay, number of payments per year. Okay, and then T is time. Okay, in years. Okay, so now we plug in the values. And what we find out is that we're going to have to make 12 payments per year in the amount of $618, approximately $618 per month for the next 3 years. Okay, so now, if we wanted to find out the total interest, we got to first find out the total amount of payments. Okay, So the total amount of payments is going to be our 618 times 36. And then we're going to subtract off the principal amount, right? Because that's the loan. And then what's ever left over is the amount of interest we paid, which in this case we'd end up paying $2,248 in interest over the life of the loan. Okay, so 3 years. Now let's look at B. Loan B, we plug in the values for the same formula. And so this is a 9% over 5 years. And so now we're going to pay a lower payment, right? Because we're spreading it over more years. Okay, 2 more years. So we have a lower payment. Okay, but look at the amount of interest. So we're going to pay $415 a month, and we're going to make 60 payments because it's 12 times 5, so 60 payments. And then we're going to subtract off the principal loan amount that we pay back. And so we're going to end up paying $4,900. So now in this case, it's better to pay the 3-year loan. You'll pay less in interest. Okay, you may not be able to afford this, so you may be forced into this. But I would say don't buy the car. Or if you get this payment, I personally, if let's say you can't afford this payment, but you can afford this payment, well, to avoid paying that much interest, pay extra. Send $500 a month instead of $415. You'll whittle this down. But in this case here, looking at this problem here, it is much better to do this route because you'll end up paying less interest than to do this interest or to do this plan. Okay, now leasing, the leasing alternative. Now I'm going to tell you right now, leasing 99%, I hesitate to even say 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's a bad idea. You'll end up getting the raw end of the deal. Okay, so leasing is the practice of paying a specified amount of money over a specified time period to use a product like a car. Leasing is essentially a long-term rental agreement. And I'm telling you, 99.9% of the time, they are a bad idea. Okay? Now, there are different types of leasing. There's a closed-end leasing, where each month you make a fixed payment based on estimated usage. When the lease ends, you return the car and you pay for mileage in excess of your estimate. And this is where people get hit because most people go way over the mileage limits and you get hammered on fees and charges for every mile you go over. Okay? Leasing is not a good idea. Now, an open-ended lease says each month you make a fixed payment based on the car's residual value. So the residual value of a car is the estimated resale value of a car at the end of the lease, okay, and is determined by the dealer. So basically, you turn the car in after the lease, and the dealer determines what the resale value would be. Okay, so you return the car and make a payment based on its appraised value at the time compared to the residual value. Okay, if the appraised value, right, is less than the residual value, then you pay all or a portion of the difference. Okay, so again, if the appraised value is less than the residual value, then you're going to pay the difference, and usually a big chunk of it, if not all of it. Now, if the appraised value is greater than or equal to the value, then you owe nothing, and you may receive a refund, but that's usually not the case. Okay. Advantages: leases require only a small down payment or no down payment at all. Lease payments for a new car are lower than low payments. Okay, so let me repeat that. Sorry about that. So lease payments for a new car are lower than loan payments made on the same car, and that's true. Most people can lease a more expensive car than they would be able to buy, and that's true too. Okay, but do you really want to do that? Okay, again, I think it's a bad idea. Most leases, and again, why would you want to lease a more expensive car? Because you want to look cool? I don't get it. Oh, but anyway, when the lease ends, you return the car to the dealer, and you do not have to be concerned about selling the car. Yes, but you have to be concerned about whether you go over the mileage limits and then you get hosed by the leasing company, or the value of the car, does it retail for more than the residual value and end up having to pay the difference? There are lots of things in the contract you got to be careful. In most cases, bad idea. Bad idea. Okay, so disadvantages: when you lease the ends, you don't own the car. Okay, well, you paid all that money and you didn't get anything for it. Most lease agreements have mileage limits. 12,000 to 15,000 per year is common. So that means if you go over these, you get charged per mile, and they're considerable. They're large. They're not small charges. When mileage penalties and other costs at the end of the leasing period are taken into consideration, the total cost of leasing is almost always more expensive than financing a car. This is what I want you to tell. That's where they get you guys. That's where they get most people on these leasing agreements. It really sounds nice, but you have to be a stickler about the contract. And if you go over, they got you. Okay. So while leasing a car, you are responsible for keeping it in perfect condition. You are liable for any damage to the car. Okay. Leasing does not cover maintenance. You still have to get oil changes. You still have to replace tires. You still have to do all of the things you do to your car when you own a car. And there are penalties for ending the lease early. Early termination of leases can cost you money. Okay, auto insurance. When you purchase insurance, you are buying protection against loss associated with unexpected events. That's the whole purpose of insurance, is to protect you from a catastrophe or a loss. In this case, a loss of an automobile, or loss due to injury or something like that. Different types of coverage are associated with auto insurance. Okay, so you've got what we call liability coverage. So you've got what we call BI, and we've got PD. Okay, so liability coverage is two parts. There's what we call BI, which is bodily injury, and then there's PD, which is property damage. Bodily injury covers the cost of lawsuits if someone is injured or killed in an accident in which you are at fault. Okay, that's the key thing. If you are at fault, liability coverage comes into effect, comes to the rescue. So it protects you that if you're at fault and you injure somebody or kill somebody in an accident, now is this going to cover you for all of the lawsuit? Probably not, but it depends on the limits that you put on there. So the more you pay on this, you could pay for higher limits, higher protection, but it costs more. Property damage. This covers damage to other cars or property from negligent operation of your vehicle, where you are again at fault, okay, or found negligent. Now, the other two types of parts of the coverage is collision. Collision pays for damage or loss of your car if you're in an accident. Okay, so if you collide with another car, it's considered collision, right? Or if you collide with a telephone pole, okay, or with a deer. Oh, I got to think about that. Is deer covered under collision? Or yeah, it's covered under collision, I believe. Yeah, I believe so. So collision coverage. The other one is called comprehensive. Comprehensive coverage protects your car from perils such as fire, theft, falling objects, acts of nature, and collision with an animal. Oh, there we go. The deer. The deer is under comprehensive. Okay. So now, this means that if your car is in the garage and your garage blows up and your car's inside the garage, you're protected by comprehensive coverage. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So if your car catches on fire, theft, somebody steals something out of your car, that would also cover, I believe, items. Oh, would that cover items in the car? I'll have to think about that one. Theft would be like if they take your radio, but would it also be other things? I'll have to look into that. I don't remember if that, like your wallet, or if you have valuables that are in the car, if that's also protected. Falling objects, so if a tree limb or a brick falls on your car, or acts of nature, things like that. Okay, now, suppose you are thinking about buying a car and you have narrowed your choices down to two options. So you can do the new car option, which you can buy a new car that costs $25,000 and you can finance it for a 4-year loan at 7.9% interest. Or you could do the used car option. You could buy a 3-year-old model of the same car, costs $14,000, and can be financed with a 4-year loan at 8.45%. So it's a higher interest rate, okay? But it's less money. So what is the difference in monthly payments between financing a new car and financing a used car? So let's look at this. So here we go. We're going to look at the payments. So on a $25,000 monthly, on a $25,000 car, brand new, 4 years at 7.9% interest, our payment calculation gives us approximately $609 per month. Okay. Now, what about the new car? Same car, but just 3 years older. You're going to pay $345. So you're paying a slightly higher interest rate for the same number of years, but it's costing you only $14,000. Okay, which is $11,000 less. Okay, so now you're paying $609 per month for a brand new car, or you could do the pre-owned car or the used car that's only 3 years older at $345. So you're saving $264 a month. And here's the deal, guys. I'm going to tell you this. Never buy a brand new car unless you are a millionaire. And some of you are like, as soon as I said that, probably your eyes are like, what? I'm telling you right now, buy a used car. You will save 30 to 40% off of the value of the new car, and it still most likely will still be under the factory warranty. And if anything did go wrong, it would already be covered under the warranty and it would already been taken care of. So any of the bugs would have been worked out of it. You just make sure that you get one that's been treated right, not dug into the ground and run into the ground by just bad driving and just careless driving. But you buy a used car, 2 to 3 years old, it'll still be under warranty. You'll save yourself 30 to 40% off of the sticker price of a brand new car. You'll pay less for it. You'll pay it off sooner, and you'll have a decent car for the next 6, 7, 8 years. Okay? And I suggest that you keep your cars for that long. Don't buy a new car like most people do every 4 years. Okay? Keep your car for the long haul. Okay? For 250, 300,000 miles. Okay? Because car payments will cost you money. Okay? So we'll talk more about that in class. So now buying a car is a huge expense. Now to make matters worse, your car has to be continually maintained, right? Right? You have to put oil into it. You got to get oil changes. You got to get brakes done, tires, toll fees, parking, cleaning, if you do that sort of thing. The costs also include insurance, license plates, registration fees, taxes, and interest on the loan. Okay, so now, if we look at the annual cost of owning and operating a car in 2016, okay, and this is based on driving 15,000 miles per year, and this is from the AAA. For a cost per mile to drive a car, a small sedan is 44.9%, or $6,700 per year. If it's a small, if it's a median sedan, then you're looking at about approximately 58.1 cents per mile, or approximately $8,700 per year. A minivan, you're looking at a little over $9,000 per year. An SUV with four-wheel drive, you're looking at almost a little over $10,500 per year. And then a large sedan, you're looking at a little bit more than that. Okay, so this is the cost of owning a car if you consider all of the different operating and owning maintenance fees. Okay, and these are things that every car owner needs to do or has to pay to maintain your car for a long time. Okay, so now cost of gasoline. So if we talk about annual fuel expense, we take the annual miles driven and you take the number of miles per gallon, which is your fuel economy, times the price per gallon of gas at a particular time. Now, obviously, the price per gallon changes daily or weekly, and so your annual mileage is going to be fixed. It's going to be whatever you drive at whatever the total number of miles is at the end of the year. And the miles per gallon, again, that fluctuates. So this is an estimate, okay? So suppose that you drive 24,000 miles per year and gas averages $4 a gallon, okay? So what will you save in annual fuel expenses by owning a hybrid car averaging 50 miles per gallon rather than an SUV averaging 12 miles per gallon? Okay. So we're going to do 50 versus 12. And so now if you deposit your monthly fuel savings at the end of each month into an annuity that pays 7.3% compounded monthly, how much money will you have saved at the end of 6 years by driving the hybrid versus the SUV? Okay, suppose that you drive 24,000 miles a year and your gas average is $4 per gallon. So this is what we're going to do. Your annual fuel expense is going to be this formula. Annual miles driven, that's 24,000. Miles per gallon is 50. And price per gallon is 4. So these are not going to change, but your 50 and your 12 is going to change. So for the hybrid, your annual fuel expense is $1,920. For the SUV, it's $8,000. So by owning the hybrid rather than the SUV, you save what? 8,000 minus 1,920, so approximately $6,080 in annual fuel expenses. So now, what if you deposit that savings every month into an account? So this is what you're going to do every year. So you're going to split this up over 12 months, and so you're going to deposit $507 per month. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to use this annuity formula, right? And we're going to find the future value. And so you plug in all the values. So you're earning 7.3% over 6 years, compounded monthly, and here's your payment amount. So you calculate that at the end of 6 years, you will have $45,634. Okay, use your calculator. And so that's what you will save at the end of 6 years. This illustrates how driving a car that consumes less gas can yield significant savings for the future. But by all means, if you want to drive that, if you don't want to drive a hybrid and you like your car, go for it. You want to drive an SUV, go for it. It's your money. Spend it on what you want. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, that is the end of this section. So again, please make sure you cover this material, study it, ask me questions and do the suggested homework. If you get stuck on anything, I'm always here to help you. And also in class, make sure you bring your questions to class so we can take care of those in class because we're going to have plenty of time to practice and answer questions. So again, until then, have a great day.